please, for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for our witnesses. The first question I have, Mr. Allen, is with regards to businesses surrounding telecommunications and cybersecurity. I think that's one of the underestimated places where Canada can actually help the Ukraine in a significant way, and just wondering whether or not there's been a growth in those industries, especially given the fact that with Russia and other states, even outside of Russia, have taken such a aggressive stance on this. And this is where I would hope that we could actually provide some inroads as a country.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Masse, or Chair, my apologies. Telecommunications is certainly a very big area for potential growth. It's one of the chapters that we're looking to add to the agreement. The agreement doesn't cover telecommunications at this point. So we would be looking to put in provisions that would facilitate trade in telecommunications equipment, facilitate trade and services relating to telecommunications, including with respect to security services. And I'll turn to my colleague, Darren Smith, who's the Acting Director General responsible for services and is our longtime services negotiator. And maybe Darren will have something that he might want to add.
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. I'll just effectively echo what Jay has just remarked. In terms of the Ukrainian market, there certainly is strong potential for the expertise and excellence of Canadian services in relation to cybersecurity and, broadly speaking, on telecommunication services to expand into the Ukrainian marketplace. At this point in time, I would say that it's more on the potential side. We are looking at, of course, at the FTA as an opportunity to provide, as been noted, further transparency and opportunities for greater certainty and predictability to help facilitate greater Canadian commercial interest into this marketplace. But I think that definitely can confirm that is definitely one of the areas where we see some commercial opportunity, and at the same time having downstream effects or positive benefits for broader security and other interests in this particular jurisdiction.
That's really interesting, and it would seem that should actually be a priority, and at least in my opinion, on the surface of where we would find at least the Ukrainian population that I represent has been very concerned about this, and also being targeted here at Industry Committee. We studied for the first time ever before fraud prevention, and part of that was the international component, because I've been pushing for international agreements, not only just fraud in India, but other countries. And I would suspect, wouldn't that be the same thing as if we were able to augment those types of initiatives? It would also stop, I guess, some of the harassment and challenges some of our own Ukrainian citizens face when they're engaged on social media, and also fraud attacks.
Certainly. One of the interesting things about being in a trade negotiating session is that you do get to cover a lot of new areas and new ideas, and as things like this come to the fore, we can certainly talk about them at the table. You're absolutely right. Telecommunications and services associated with it are a big interest for Canada, and so we will certainly make use of these opportunities to talk about how we can protect our citizens and what we might be able to do in that context.
I think that was that Mr. Smith. Did you have a question answer on that too?
Yes, thank you. I would just also add that in addition to a robust cross-border trade and services chapter, and as well as communications, we're also looking at expanding the e-commerce chapter, although it would really be broader in terms of digital trade. And there, I would say that we have three baskets of activity. We're facilitating trade, we're looking at dealing with market access impediments, but we're also dealing with trying to build a greater trust and confidence on the part of users on online platforms and such. And indeed, I'll point to the fact that although the FTA won't be the panacea for all these myriad of challenges that exist within the cybersecurity realm, it does provide another platform for us to engage with our trading partner on these important issues, and to reinforce efforts that we're undertaking in other forums, including the WTO. In that respect, we do have a proposal from Canada in that forum dealing with the protection of personal information that relates to people who could be subject to persecution from authorities for nefarious reasons. People are ethnic minorities, people belong to LGBTQ plus communities, etc. And we're trying to introduce these types of protections into our trade agreements so that governments are not using or demanding access on the personal information of users within the online realm to go and undertake activities that would be detrimental to themselves and certainly contrary to Canadian values.
That's really good to hear. And like I've had Ukrainian interns for probably about 14 of my 20 years in Parliament. Just the last couple of years have been interrupted, and other than that, it's been elections. And I find that some of the younger people who have, they come from the universities, very good skill sets in the digital economy. And they've also have some international experience as well, too, beyond just Canada and the Ukraine. So I just see that as a natural fit also to maybe, bolstering even entrepreneurship and confidence in investment if the digital aspect is rectified, because even in Canada, people are concerned about and we've had our own challenges with Russian interference on that. And, for investing in Ukraine, it would just only make a lot of sense to bolster the relationship by enhancing that safety and security through the digital lens of things. I think that's all my time, Madam Chair.
It is. Yes. Thank you,
you.
Mr. Masse. Mr. Hoback.